Uh, Name is Edmundo Toti Casiño, number 18 in your ballot. And I guess it will be my first time to communicate to you in English because from the past couple of months, our in the campaign trail it's been always in Filipino. And I guess this is a language that probably me and my colleague would be more comfortable in relating. So what are the three topics that I'd like to cover as part of my stance? Number one, what is your stance on medical and recreational marijuana? For all we know, there's a lot of studies already been done all over the world about the use of marijuana as beneficial. And it seems that it's high time our country should also look into this because, let's face it, we're a tropical country. Marijuana grows practically in this region. And during the Vietnam War, how many here has been there during the era of Vietnam War? And that has been quite prolific because in the region, marijuana was grown practically in the Indo-Chinese area and has penetrated a big vast of users, not only in this part of the world, but the rest of the world, that today, after what, 40 or 50 years, there are a series of studies that not only does it give the user some kind of high, it has also medicinal benefits. And let us not forget that this is a natural herb that is grown for practically in tropical regions like the Philippines that might generate some medical benefits. So my stance here is let's have an open discussion on this subject matter and consider, are there truly good medicinal benefits in the use of marijuana? All right? And how many? Okay, I'm sorry. I was trying to bring it down because I don't want to have the echo. Okay. So in that regard, my stance here is have a serious look into this. There are two countries in the world that has legalized marijuana. One is Uruguay and second is Canada. We could probably study and look at the effects, the positive and the negative effects on these two countries and how were they able to regulate it in terms of usage, in terms of growing. Probably it's a multi-billion-dollar industry when you start to export it. And probably there are other benefits for those who have central nervous diseases like epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, even stroke, and God knows whatever else there might be. And that is one aspect that I think we should look into. And probably if there's any policy, let's have it graduated. Meaning, rather than liberalizing it, probably have some restricted usage such as guarded prescription for purposes of therapy. In that regard, maybe the usage may not be, because one of the fears of marijuana usage is it's a stepping stone for the user to go on a higher level of addiction, whether it's heroin or worst case, shabu, etc. And that's a big no-no. So my stance here is if there are beneficial medical effects, let us sort of consider that for purely on medical purposes. All right? That is my stance as far as usage of marijuana as medicinal purposes. Second question, should politicians prioritize internet speed over other pressing issues? My background is on IT. It's a definite yes. For crying out loud, we've got the slowest internet speed in the, I was going to use the G word, in this region. And it is quite a disgusting measure because here we are, very fluent in English, very advanced in the use of technology. You got the BPOs out here. We are the second, if not now the first choice for call centers worldwide. And we got one of the best IT experts in this country. And yet in terms of internet speed, one of the backbones of technology is the slowest. And not only the slowest, it's the most expensive. One of the stands of our party, Katipunan ng Demokratikong Pilipino, is to dismantle the control of oligarchs. Because who are the people behind the internet? Are the same people behind electricity and water. All right? And quite frankly, in this thing when they liberalized telcos, who benefited? Just two names. And I don't have to mention them. That's free publicity for them. And you know who they are. Right? Now, in this bidding that they opened up and they had a third player, and they had all these objections coming from the Senate and Congress. What are they trying to do? Suppress advancement? Suppress development? Why? Because are they in the payroll of these two oligarchs? Seriously. I mean, are they thinking, do they know the repercussions of slow internet in this day and age? What year is it now? Is it 1996? It's 2019, for crying out loud. Right? And we're ending this year, we're ending the second decade, and we're still running at what? 5 Mbps? You know, Vietnam, by next year, will be running the first Formula One racing. You know what Formula One is? It's the Class A of sports. They practically use everything on technology in that region, and Vietnam was a Johnny-come-lately country, and here they are running a Formula One racing, not outside their territory, not outside the city, right in the heart of Hanoi. Formula One, where you get those cars running at 30 kph, get a pit stop for 2.3 seconds, you chase 4 tires, everything run by telemetry, you got the GPS working around there. Seriously, that's Class A, man. That's Class A technology right there and then. 19, 20 races in a year. Everything run by internet. And where's our internet here? None. That's disappointing. How come nobody's shouting here? How about I don't say the F word? Mother F, man. Mother F. How come we're getting our internet the most slowest in this country, in this region? Can you take that? That's not a BS, right? Right? And then here we are, we're like slaves. We're subject to the owners of these two families allowing us to pay the highest rate in internet. And where do we end up with? Slow. You get a goddamn traffic, and if you have the high-speed internet, you don't have to take on the traffic. You can just go on the internet and do Skype. You don't do the meetings. You don't have to leave your house. You can do meetings by Skype or Viber or WhatsApp. And you can transact by, e-commerce. Internet is vital. It's the bloodline of technology. It's the bloodline of development. And that's not even there in the #1 bill in the Senate and in Congress right now as we speak. They talk about bill. Sure, that's infrastructure, physical. But what they don't see is the internet. I don't know if you understand that, but Anyway, third one. How involved should the church be in their government affairs? Under the Constitution, we, the sovereign people, must implore the Almighty God. The word imploring means we plead, we seek guidance, principles. And Section 8.6 of the Bill of Rights, the separation of the church and state is invaluable. Now, how do you coincide those two? Here we are imploring Almighty God in terms of giving us the principles and guidance to have a humane and balanced life. We have a government run by thieves, murderers, those who cheat. There's even a candidate running for the 3rd time. And he was the one chairing the Joint Congressional Oversight Committee, where I, as a representative of the community of society, was against the use of this automation simply because he has a vested interest to run for the 3rd time in the Senate. It is the gall to violate the law, and he's even a lawyer. For crying out loud, what rule of law are we following? Seriously. Do I want to run for Congress and Senate and deal with these clowns? Frankly, no. Because I would be wasting my fucking time dealing with these assholes and trying to reason out with them and tell them, shoot, I cannot make this bill pass because you know this, you know that. Because I'm not sponsored by any oligarchs. By the way, KDP does not get donations from oligarchs. That's our #1 rule. Our #1 rule is we get donations as small as $10 or $100, $500 from every single Filipino so that we are indebted to the Filipino people and not to a few oligarchs. not even to a drug lord. And that's our principle. We stand by principles, not by convenience. We stand by ideas, not by personalities. That's where we, Katipunan Demokratiko Pilipino, or KDP, are committed to. I don't stand by myself. I stand up with the party. And where you're standing in front of you is not a person, it's a party. And going back to this, how should the church be involved? The church provides you spiritual guidance, the moral values, individually, how you should behave, how you should conduct yourself in public, in government, in industry. Take away the greed. Promote love, charity. Yesterday, 2 days ago, I was in this slum area in Caloocan, and to my disgust, man, 10,000 families sharing a 100-hectare area, those shanties, and they don't even have a decent toilet. What quality of life is that? And for the 33 years since we ousted that other dictator, has the quality of life of these people improved? Nada. Zero. That's the kind of government we had since we kicked out the so-called dictator, which was told to us by some foreign CIA, telling us that, he's the dictator and he's the traitor and he should be kicked out. And we got rid of him. And guess what? 33 years since then. Have we advanced? Honestly? Has this been forward?
Very good.
Maybe a few, yes, but not a majority. Our OFWs are unsung heroes. How are they treated in these countries? They're treated like what? Trash in the embassies, in the consulars. We know that. We hear that from those who are supporting us. It is a disgust, and they come to us and they tell us, how can we help them? And frankly, even if we make a niche, even we get our popularity here, you think we're going to win for those goddamn smartmatic running the election, who we know has cheated 3 times, and they're going to cheat it for the 4th time? If we ever win, if ever out of 62 candidates, well, don't blame me if in the other side, the number 8 party wins. That's totally out of whack. They're going to hack it like hell. They did that in 2010. They did that in 2013. And they did that in 2016. And they're going to do that in 2019 because the same foreign vendor who is running our election system, a foreigner. And COMELEC allowed it, and even our Joint Congressional Oversight Committee allowed it because the chairman there is running for the 3rd time. And the co-chair happens to be the brother-in-law of whose brother-in-law won the number 2 rank in the Senate race of 2016 when he was not even popular. Jesus Christ. That's the kind of government we have here. Seriously, I don't need to win. I'd be comfortable in my own comfort zone teaching my students how to be a stellar performer. And I'm proud to say a lot of my students are working outside this country. They're working in Singapore, in Japan, in Norwegian, in the US, Palo Alto, Silicon Valley. Some of them are vice presidents, some of them are chief information security officers. I'm proud of them. They learn from the right guy, the right person, and to me, that's the reward as an educator would get as you see your student, getting those values that they never get. And these are the students that did not come from the top 3 schools. And I tell my students, that's not your competition, La Salle, Ateneo, UP. I came from all 3 schools, by the way. And I said, why? They all look at me and they said, look out in the streets. Are our streets any better? Are the lifestyles of our people any better? Is the government any better? Is business good? No. Guess what? All those running those 3, the government, the industry, are all coming from those 3 schools. Not that I envy them, like I said, I came from all 3 schools. My grade school and high school was La Salle Green Hills, my college, and part of my graduate studies in Ateneo, and I took my master's in UP. But the thing is, the way things are running here, it's being dominated by a syndicate. Something like a mafia. Protecting their own interests. You put together the drug lords. You put together even the oligarchs. All of them together. The ones running the mainstream media. The ones running the public utilities, the electricity, the water. All right? Now, church. What does the church have to say about that? The moral values. Is that right? to cheat on your fellow citizen? Is it right to lie? Is it right to steal? That's what the church should do. And what the government does? The government must give the material things, the services, education, health, infrastructure, good industry, technology. That's where the government should be. Good conduct. Now, is it right for the church to bash on personalities? No. It's better if the church just tell them in the pulpit, this is how the institutions should be. This is how the government was created. You know, in grad school, I learned that the early beginnings of government, way back in the early centuries, was a police. If you try to imagine, picture in the Wild Wild West, the first form of government is a sheriff. After the sheriff comes the school. After the school comes, well, of course, they have the salon and the casinos and whatever, the blacksmith. And then there you go, doing this and that. And that was the first incidence of government. So it was told to us by our grad school teacher. Then from there, it started to evolve, and then taxes came in, and et cetera, et cetera. As it evolved and transformed into what we have now, with all the sophistication, you need technology, you need the church to have the ideas what is fair, what is right, what is good, what is beneficial. Not what is to them hitting on the person, because the person who is a saint, everybody's a sinner. All you have to do is just cast out the sin and then reform. All right, I got to wrap up. So in three counts. Okay, regulate the use of medicinal marijuana. I'm good for that. Further study. Let's examine the 2 countries that did that. Number 2, should internet be the pressing priority? Hell yes. That's number 1. And number 3, on how should the church be involved with government? By all means, they're on the spiritual side and government is the material side. Thank you. Toti Casiño, number 18.